Okay, so I'm going to talk more about the faculty members in my presentation because just to share with you how the scholarly practice of engineering education has been developed in Malaysia. Yesterday we had a former SEAM President's Forum talking about historically how everything started, but I'm going to focus more on the perspective of developing engineering educations and practitioners or engineering educators as scholarly practitioners. Now, by the way, this has not what I'm drawing here. I've been thinking about this, about the landscape of engineering educators in Malaysia for a long time. I think being an engineering education for more than 30 years and talking to a lot of people and seeing where things fall in, this is not really accurate in terms of the number. It's just what I've seen, the landscape of what we have in Malaysia at the moment. Now, we have, everybody's driven towards engineering education, those who teach engineering programs, basically because of the accreditation. But even before that, we had people who were passionate about engineering education because they want to teach and develop good engineers, good holistic future leaders. But basically, we have the engineering accreditors who were able, because of engineering accreditation, everybody was pushed towards outcome-based education. Since Malaysia is a signatory of the Washington Accord, everybody had to learn OBE. And because of this, more people, this opened our eyes to the need for alternative teaching and learning approaches rather than just giving lectures. So now what we have is, in addition to the accreditors, we have those who are effective educator. These are the people who, you know, they will go for training on how to teach well, and then that's it. Yeah, I have friends who are very good researchers. They don't have time to continuously learn about engineering education and teaching and learning approaches. They learn something and they think it works and they stop there. But they do use good principles to teach, and perhaps not knowing the name, but they still can conduct good classes. There are also the scholarly educators who keep on assessing their practice and improving from there. But we don't really hear much from them because they rarely ever share their practice. So some of them become also they join the EAC as the panel, accreditation panel, and some of them also, from the effective educator also join the EAC as the panel. Now, what we have next is the SOTL educators. The SOTL educators are those who actually conduct experimentation. They read a lot. They really want to develop better teaching and learning approaches, good learning environments, and they share because they want to inspire others to do the same. They want to be part of a community because this kind of community will be very supportive and will allow a lot of things to be done. And once they become a SOTL educators, there's a lot of international network. And some of the SOTL educators actually expand their assessment into research. Okay, so this is where we have the engineering education researchers in Malaysia. And we have 2 established PhD in engineering education programs in Malaysia, in Universiti Teknologi Malaysia and in Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. And there's also some other programs here and there allowing a PhD in engineering education graduate, although they don't name it as a PhD in engineering education. So I think all of us started by, many of us started by developing understanding from the outcome-based education. So this started from the Board of Engineers, Malaysia. Like in UTM, our experience was this was driven by the Center for Teaching and Learning, creating small communities. Yes, so there's pockets of communities here and there, working on learning about engineering education. So this was back in the early 2000, and there's also small SOTA grants available. I remember when I came back from my PhD, I wrote a paper on my practice of cooperative learning in my class, and I presented it at ASEAP. This is the Association of Engineering Education in Southeast Asia and the Asia Pacific. Yeah. So, and they have actually been established since the 70s. But when I went to the conference, it's more of a jumble of not really engineering education, but also a mix of the technical engineering papers. And I think among the first in Malaysia to have a totally engineering education conference, this was organized by UTM from the idea of our top management to have a conference on engineering education in 2004. And I was so inspired by it. We decided to have a regional conference on engineering education in 2005, where we invited Professor Richard Felder and Dr. Rebecca Brent. I remember them saying when they gave their outcome-based education workshop, the number of engineering educators who support them, who wanted to get their signature autograph. They felt like they were superstars. So we begin to have a lot of training on that has grounding to the principles of education, which allow better implementation for those who attended. And the Malaysian Council of Engineering Deans decided to establish the Society of Engineering Education Malaysia in 2007. And we also have the Regional Conference on Engineering Education in 2007, where we invited Professor Carl Smith, and he talked about research in engineering education. The nice thing was that at that time in Malaysia, the Ministry of Higher Education established ACAP, which is the Higher Education Leadership Academy that promotes and support leadership in higher education. And then 2007 is the start of the first PhD program in engineering education in Malaysia, and SEEN was officially launched after that. Not long after that, Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia started the PhD program. We had the first PhD graduates, and we managed to bring the Research in Engineering Education Symposium and the International Research Symposium on Problem-Based Learning 2013 to Malaysia. So Malaysian educators have always had a very wide global view because we managed to network with people from all over the world, and it's really helpful in, I think, gauging our progress and allowing us to progress even in the form of applying for grants and doing the work and forming a community in Malaysia. So
and now we have the RCEE 2021.
Yes, so now we are planning that perhaps we should let the RCEE move around, not only in Malaysia in terms of the host university, but also move around Southeast Asia. So
okay.
Yeah, so this is the plan at the moment.
Thank you.
Still a lot of work. We managed to host in 2017, but still more work to do. But sometimes what we do in research is poorly translated into the practice. So I see, lately I have been re-examining where am I in this landscape.